Well, everyone, it's about that time yet again to kind of compile a list of some of the best valued phones in my opinion, especially when it comes down to the iPhone. So with the release of the iPhone SE2, you guys already know that thing kind of fluctuated a lot in pricing for all other phones kind of surrounding it, including the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus. But I really want to hit on the best iPhones in my opinion that are under $100. Now, surprisingly, I'm kind of seeing a trend that's kind of happening with all phones that are being released, because just like a year or two ago, I made this phone too, and the phone selections I think were completely different, but it's kind of weird how they're somewhat similar at the same time. So my very first phone I would recommend people to buy in 2020, especially in this time around, if you're watching this video within a couple months from now, one of the best valued iPhones that are under $100 in my opinion has to be the original iPhone SE. This thing, for some reason, bro, is it's too good of a phone to be what it was in my opinion. I feel like they could have sold this thing for a little even more expensive than what it was, and I think it still would have sold like hotcakes. The thing with this phone is that I've owned a couple of phones in my day, alright? I've owned the iPhone 6, I've owned the 6 Plus and the 6S, all these phones, and all those phones have their own problems, right? But with the iPhone SE, I've owned this specific iPhone SE for about 2 years, I think over 2 years, and all the consensus basically of everyone owning this phone and everything is pretty much that this is a very good, stable phone, and I 100% agree with that. I bought this phone brand new like 2.5 years ago, whatever it was, and I bought a lot of phones brand new, and this phone has always been there for me. Every time I picked it up and did anything with it, it was perfectly fine, it was good to go. I just had to charge it. It didn't have any random battery malfunctions or anything like that, which was a really big problem, believe it or not, for a lot of phones that I've owned, especially used ones and brand new ones that were back in the day. But this one was an extremely safe iPhone. It had really no big issues or no big problems, because Apple basically just recycled the design, and because of that, they didn't really have any issues, which was really big. And you can pick one of those things up for like around $50. I don't really think they're going to cost you an arm and a leg to pick up anymore. So that is probably my number one iPhone I would recommend to a lot of people. If you're under the $100 budget, the iPhone SE is the way to go. You're getting pretty good performance still. Software updates for a minute. It might be getting iOS 14. Even if it doesn't, you're still going to be getting security updates for another year, hopefully. And really, everything else about this phone is top tier. There's really not too much to complain about. So this phone gets a thumbs up in my books for sure. Now the next one is kind of on the higher end of the $100 mark, but it's still a pretty good pickup for sure. And I think it's a better phone than the iPhone SE, but it can still have its little weird things here too, like I'm not gonna lie. And that phone is the iPhone 6S Plus. Now, I owned the 6S Plus. I had it as a main phone for a while. I was using it every single day for everything back, I think in 2017 and 2016, something like that, I don't remember. But I was using this phone and I loved it. I had a really good time with it. I had no issues at all with it, really. And thank God I switched to a 7 Plus, which that was a really big upgrade in my opinion. But the 6S Plus got the job done for sure. There's really not too much to hate on it, like I stated. You're getting a big screen, which some people might like, a 1080p display, which is really good. Pretty decent build quality too. The performance is still pretty good. You still have Force Touch, Touch ID, which some people might prefer, and you can still shoot 4K on that back camera, which is really cool too. So the phone itself is actually pretty decent in my opinion. You're getting pretty decent battery life too. And the fact of the matter is that if you break this phone, if you crack it, whatever, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to replace, but also it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to repair either, which that is a humongous thing as well. You have to keep that in mind. So in my opinion, for sure, the iPhone 6S Plus is a top tier phone for $100 mark. You might see some that might go over the 100, like 105 or 110, but for a majority of you, if you kind of hackle down the price and everything, I'm pretty sure you could find one for easily less than $90, but definitely less than 100. I've picked up a lot of 6S Pluses in my past for like less than 150, and that was like 2 years ago, so definitely these prices have depreciated since then. Now the next one might sound similar too. This one is the iPhone 6S, and this is actually the last iPhone I would probably recommend people for under that $100 mark. Now you still have phones like the iPhone 5, 5S, and iPhone 6, but those are kind of the older ones. I probably want to recommend people to go that old. These ones, at least they have a lot of the similarities and a lot of capabilities too, which is really cool. Now with the 6S, you still have pretty much all the exact same things as the 6S Plus, which is a huge plus. You're getting that 4K camera, you're getting Force Touch, you're getting a pretty good build quality and a pretty good power phone. You know, it can definitely do anything you throw at it. But the one thing to keep in mind is that with the 6S, and this is why I kind of held it to the last one, is because this phone, out of all the phones that I mentioned, has probably the highest amount of problems that I've seen so far. Now with the iPhone SE, it does a really good job. and there's very few problems. Like, I don't even know that many problems with it. Maybe like the size, some people might prefer this, some people might not like the size, but again, the size is like one of the things that sold it the most. But I think with the 6S, you know, it kind of had a weird past, and because of the battery issues and random shutdowns and stuff like that, it's kind of harder to recommend. But I still tell people, I'm like, bro, this phone is a killer phone still. And if you really, really need a phone, the 6S is the way to go. If you're in a budget, if you're not even on a budget, if you want a phone, the iPhone 6S is a tremendous phone in my opinion too. And you can find them for less than $90 if you really look hard enough. Now, I do have one honorable mention, okay? And this is the iPhone 7. Now, this is an honorable mention because it was very close to that $100 mark. I've seen some that were less than 100, but most of them were like 110, 120. If you kind of haggled on the price, you could probably get them lower. But again, that's one thing to consider. In my opinion, the iPhone 7 is a great phone for the price. It can definitely do everything you throw at it. It's better than all the phones that I mentioned here. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. It has, you know, its fair share of problems, but it's still a really, really good phone. And in my opinion, I would almost recommend you guys to go upgrade to an iPhone 7 and spend the extra $10, $20 if you can. If you can't, then that's totally fine. I totally get it. But the iPhone 7 is a really good phone, and I have a lot of respect for it too. So that's really pretty much it, guys. If you have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys would check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.